Evening, everyone, and welcome to NerdTube. Time to talk about Loki, Season 2, Episode 3, 1893. I'm here with our usual Loki Marvel fans, and let's talk about this episode. So, our boys are looking for a variant of He Who Remains, and they find him in the year 1893. Earlier on, Renslayer gives our variant a book of the TVA, which he ends up using, but even though he has some good ideas, he's also a fucking snake oil salesman. And we see that portrayed. Now, this version of the variant, in my opinion, has very similar characteristics to He Who Remains in Season 1. He's more like him than he was like Kang in Ant-Man 3. This was a very interesting episode. I did enjoy it personally. Porky, how did you find it?
Yeah, that's me. Yeah, of all the Loki episodes that we've ever had, this is my favorite one. I love this one. It had so much time travel goodness in it. That it was just, and the pacing was fantastic, and the action was great. I absolutely loved this episode.
Okay, guys.
I really loved this episode. I mean, like, because I wasn't sure where it was going at first, because Timely, as I called myself, I thought he was a great. What's the word?
Character?
A great villain, but a great character. But do you know who smashed it this episode? Miss Minutes.
Miss Minutes was the MVP.
Yeah, that speech was just terrifying because I was like, where the fuck is this going? It's like that. Do you know that speech from Godfather's, like, why am I funny speech? He was literally like that. I was like, where the hell is this going? It's like Scott. And Tara Strong really knocked it out of the park with that one.
Yeah, I thought both Renslayer and Miss Minutes were excellent in this episode. How about yourself, Jose?
I really enjoyed it. I mean, honestly, this is one of my favorite Marvel episodes just in general with everything Marvel. This is return to form. They nailed it. Jonathan Majors nailed it as Mr. Timely being, a shady salesman. I love that. I love the pacing of the episode. I love where we're going. Now what we need to see going forward is Kang has to start showing up and fucking shit up. In pretty much every Marvel movie up until we get the Avengers Kang Dynasty, that's my expectations. I love Kang, and I want to see more of him. This was a fantastic episode.
I think what this episode was paying homage to was the silent movies of yesteryear. There were moments when there were little chases, around the World of Tomorrow fair, and it just reminded me of like Buster Keaton and Charlie Chaplin and stuff like that. The misdirections, him running into the Ferris wheel and then going on his hands and knees and running out and stuff like that. I thoroughly enjoyed those moments. They were quite humorous. What did you guys actually think of Jonathan Majors' performance? Because he's almost acting autistic, in the way he's going about his things. Yeah,
Chef's kiss.
Yeah. Go on, guys.
It's such a shame what's happened in his personal life, and because he's just such a good actor, like just absolutely brilliant. His performance is absolutely fantastic. His mannerisms very key to that era. Just he's great, and you can see the seeds that he's obviously he is the Kang that we saw at the end of the
end of time,
the end of Loki season 1. This is that Kang, because that's when when Renslayer and Miss Minutes plant the book in there and all of that, and this is just basically
Is this a paradox then? Is this some sort of paradox we're witnessing, where his future self has to connect with his past self in order for his future self to exist?
Yeah, the Ouroboros.
Yeah.
It's the constant cycle.
Yeah.
So he has to go back, and again, so if you look at, I can't take credit for some of the stuff I'm going to say with Screen Crush and some of the Easter eggs they pointed out. Like if you look at his palace at the end, and it's been like repaired like the Japanese style with the gold and all of this, it just shows that this isn't the first time this has happened. Like this isn't the first time his kind of castle has collapsed. It's happened many times, and so this is just yet another loop that we're seeing, and I think that's the key theme of this show. Even before I saw Screen Crush said it, is that it's just one continual loop. So we would have all been here before, and that's just what I love about it. It's when everything else that you've done in the previous episodes, because you don't get to loving this episode without laying the foundations in the previous episodes of season 1 and the first 2 episodes of season 2. Okay, it's culminated to this point. So all the stuff they talked about what He Who Remains was saying, like I'll see you again, and all this, see you soon, and all this kind of stuff, and all the little seeds of what they've been talking about, which my mind's conveniently bloody forgotten now. But it's all just came to be in this episode, and goddamn, this is why, like, it was so fucking good. And when everyone's performance and everyone's reason for being there meant something, yeah, it was just great. And I love some of the little Easter eggs that I noticed before Screen Crush. Or one of those was obviously when he's running in the first place, he hides behind the obelisk, and it's like the Egyptian thing. And I was just like, oh, that's nice, because that's actually where in the comic books, when he first goes back in time, that's where he hides. And he becomes the Pharaoh Ramatut and all this kind of stuff. So those were nice little nods that I saw. The one that Spring Crush pointed out, which I thought was amazing, was that in 1893, where they were, it was they had a flag of all the world flags, and one of those was Latveria. So I thought that's pretty bloody cool. Yeah, we'll talk more about other stuff later.
So one of the reason why they're back in time, Morbius and Loki, is that they're looking for the variant, because shit's hitting the fan in the TVA. Ouroboros has come across a situation within the works of the construction where they're all gonna fucking die, and they need Miss Minutes, or they need the aura of Kang, something that resembles him, in maybe like his hand or his eyeballs will end up being like able to unlock some sort of password or whatever, so that they can override the situation going. Which is why they're looking to get the variant, and that's why they go back in time. But regarding the other people are also looking for him, Renslayer and Miss Minutes. I think this is the most cynical we've ever seen Miss Minutes in this show. There is something about her. I'm not sure how you guys felt with her wanting to be in a relationship.
What a heel! What a heel!
Yeah,
she just
it's the sweetly talking, kindly, nicey niceys.
Mm-hmm.
That make really good bad guys. That with their smile in your face, and they'll fucking try to kill you at the same time.
They'll smile in your face and stab you in the back simultaneously. Yeah.
Like when she first was talking to Timely, and then like she's like going, "Oh, you created me, a blah blah blah," and I was a chess AI and stuff like that, and then all of a sudden, like it switches like 10 minutes, like 2 minutes in, and all of a sudden she's like going, you could have dripped my body, and I could have been more for you. I could have been your girl, and it's like, where the fuck is this going?
I love that.
Yeah, I found that a bit weird, but fair enough.
I loved it when I loved it when they had her really go Southern, and she's like, "Bless your heart," and we all know like "bless your heart" really means like "go to hell." So that's basically what she was saying, was like, "Go to hell." I miss Minutes. Like I can be, anything I want to be. And, I just want to be somebody. And like, I love where they're taking her character. Miss Minutes, Tara Strong, killed it. I mean, everybody in this episode played their part to perfection. I honestly don't know if it's going to get much better than this. That's the downside.
If
I was watching her mannerisms.
Then we're just on a winning streak here.
Yeah,
for this show.
Yeah,
I mean, considering how poor Marvel's stuff has been this year, this is a pretty damn good show so far.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I was watching her mannerisms. By the way, like always, like keep an eye on, was she smiling? Was she frowning and stuff like that? It obviously it's played to see on her because she's a cartoon. But,
and I love how. Here's something we haven't touched on yet. I love how she stayed like, shaded, like she was gray like throughout the episode until she turned to her natural orange self, like in a cartoon character to fit in with the theme. I'm like, that was a nice touch by Marvel that they did that with her.
The only thing I'll say with that is I disagree in that, although to the audience looking at it like, oh yeah, black and white, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
To the audience at that time, there was, apart from pictures, there was no film. There was no film and all that. So the black and white theme just didn't make any sense.
If they would have made it black and white, then I could see where that would have fit in.
But her being black and white,
it was close to that era though, so I forgave it. It was a bit, obviously 20, 30 years, but she's being a bit Betty Boo like, so. But I forgot.
I loved it. Sorry, Zab. I loved it when she went kaiju, Pac-Man Ghost, and just like scared the shit out of everyone. I thought that
was hilarious.
But can I just say, like, I mean, this was a great performance by Jonathan Majors. Like, for example, like, I wish this is going to be a difficult thing to talk about, but the fact that he's a black guy in the 1800s, talking about scientific subjects. I mean, don't really, like, in the Midwest, where kind of like there's still some residues of flaming slavery about. It's like I don't think they delved into that too much, which is something that I wish they did. That's the only. That's the thing I would.
No, I'm happy.
That's the only thing I would critique personally, but maybe you guys disagree with me on that.
I would.
No, I'm happy with how it went. Like there was one moment where that one dude, called him boy and stuff like that. Just to remind you of the area. Yeah, that would just be a bit like it doesn't have to like be full on. Like I think sometimes with our media and stuff like that, we are constantly looking at those particular times and everyone's a fucking racist asshole and shit like that. I'm sure people are very much aware of like the discrepancies and where certain people were in that time, but they didn't have to constantly be pulling out a Confederate flag and saying I hate black people all the fucking time. I'm very happy with how this went. It was done just right in my opinion.
In regard to my thoughts on Jonathan Majors, he killed it this episode. I mean, it's a shame what's happening in his personal life, but I think honestly, as Kang so far, let me put the emphasis on so far, this is the best portrayal of Kang that he's done yet. And
yes,
it's going to be tough to top. It really is.
Yeah, I mean,
I agree.
With regard to what Timely said, I'm happy that they didn't go down that route because again, we've heard it a million times. Yeah, we don't need to keep if you keep just referring to that, and it's something that in although racial tensions would have been high in that era, it wasn't like a constant thing. It wouldn't have been like that constant preachy thing that was going on. It was just like, yes, I got called boy, yes, I'll get some racism thrown at me, but people just fucking had to carry on because there was nothing to it. There was never going to be a moment where they're going to stand up on stage and start, giving some kind of fucking speech that you would get today. Mm-hmm. So I think they did it perfectly. They had the subtle racist, the wording and the way they looked and the shock when the lights came up and they saw a black man standing on stage and all this kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. I thought that was just brilliant.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like seeing black people, it wasn't like a new phenomenon for them. I mean, regardless of the racial tensions and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I thought the portrayal of it was done perfectly. So yeah.
The three scenes I really loved. The Miss Minutes street scene that I just talked about. The second one was when they're on the boat and all of a sudden he pushes Renslayer off. I was like, I did not see that coming.
You had to do what you had to do.
Yeah, I
loved that scene. I'm sorry.
It was done very cleverly because like 1 minute they're sitting next to each other chilling, and next thing you know, the scene we see is she's sleeping, and she wakes up because the fucking boat has just dropped into the water. But she's very much a woman on a mission, because she's not letting that particular moment stop her from getting what she needs. So, good luck to her, I guess.
That whole scene was just really, really good as well, because it's just more like in the comic books, Renslayer is like, it's Kang's lover, and yet they can never be together because Destiny just keeps killing Renslayer basically, and they just can never be together. And also, Kang just isn't about sharing power at all. He wants to be number one.
He's
so the
fact
fact that even back then, even as the first kind of variant, because now he's become a variant, because when Renslayer goes back in time, you see that it's a sacred timeline. When she hands him the book, it's now a branched timeline. So he's now obviously that, but that variant is obviously what's going to become Kang. But even back then, not knowing really what's going on, and he's still about being number one and just at all costs. Again, just brilliantly done. And I don't know how much of a role God, what was the actor? We're just talking about him, the one who plays Kang.
Jonathan Majors.
Oh, Jonathan Majors.
Yeah, thank you. See, my
You're welcome.
not. But but because I know, like, when you hear about Ant-Man and how much control he had over the performance of his character, I don't know how much control he had over the performance of his character in this. Like, it will just play to what a smart fucker he is, really, knowing what Kang is all about. Because just those little subtleties are just brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I mean, I think I'm correct in that this is the kind of like some of this episode is what was part of the trailer for the teaser trailer that was at the end of Ant-Man. I think I'm right about that.
Yeah, when they're seeing him for the very first time, and they're like, "We have to talk to him." Yeah, so you got that correct.
Yeah. So I mean, because when I first saw the performance, Best Will, I thought it was a bit, what the hell's going on?
Yeah.
But then you kind of realize that he's kind of like I don't want to say charlatan or huckster, because he's not like, he's kind of like an inventor for that time, like like a Thomas Edison sort of type, where he's trying to get his inventions off the ground, but he's kind of like strapped for cash, and he's a black guy on top of that in a very post slavery state. So like him to get funded, and I love the fact
hustling is what it's all about, man. I mean, even in today's world, like, people have to hustle. So
but again, it plays homage to Victor Timely in the comic books, who was, when he went back in time to hide, he basically was a con man, a shyster, and so paying homage to that. But obviously, again, I can't take the credit for this bit, but Screen Crush takes the credit. What's really funny in the comic books is, like, he creates the kind of first loop of, like, helping create the first Human Torch, was an android, which kind of gave birth to the era of superheroes. And those superheroes are the ones that ultimately defeat Kang. So it's that kind of weird loop that he's always stuck in the comic books. I don't expect it to play out here in the show at all. I'm just saying, in the comic books, I thought that's really cool when they mentioned it on Screen Crush. At
the moment, we've had Kang and we got He Who Remains, but this He Who Remains has not been referred to as Kang just yet, or will he ever be? You know what I mean? Because
might not ever be.
He might never be referred to as Kang.
Yeah,
even though he is Kang, technically he's somebody else. He's a variant.
I could see him coming out
Sorry, that's the original ancestor of Kang, not Kang. So even without so along the sacred timeline, that Kang, that guy is what eventually gives birth to all the other Kangs further down the line. Like, that's the beginning of their ancestry. But the branching timeline is obviously the birth of He Who Remains.
Yep.
And I just love that, because the more you start thinking about it, because you're like, well, how can all the other Kangs exist with this? But it's like, no, that one of them continues on the sacred timeline, which creates all the other Kangs, and this one is the one that branches off, and also there's the multiversal stuff and all that. It's all just fucking wonderfully delicious.
Sorry, go on.
I was gonna say seriously, like I love Sylvie and Loki's chemistry. It's like the two actors seem to just like bounce off each other so well. I mean, like they did a phenomenal job casting those. Thomas.
Sylvie does remind me that she's in EastEnders at times, though the way she talks. But
no, she's from the north.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like something about her.
Coronation
she sounds like she could be on Brookside North or some bullshit like that. But regardless, her wanting to kill Kang, which was her bit in this episode, was quite amusing. She finally had an opportunity to kill this variant, and she didn't, which was kind of surprising for her.
It goes back to like that.
She saw herself in that moment of that variant just on the floor, weak. And because of what happened to her, she kind of connects with him, and that. But
it goes back to
change your mind down
it goes back to like, okay, you know, like when you want something, like you really, really want it, you work so hard to get it, and then when you have it, you're like, I don't want it anymore because you worked so hard to try to get it. So that's, I think, what I equate to Sylvie trying to kill Kang to was like, okay, I had to do what I had to do, but I just realized killing him would ultimately bring me no peace. It wouldn't do anything for me.
Well, it'll also kill the timeline that she wants to
protect.
Yeah.
The one moment in this where I really wanted to see a different outcome, because when they're all in that theater and after Timely does his demonstration with the electricity, which was pretty cool, by the way, Loki bumps into a guy who's like twice his size. But the whole time I'm thinking to myself, this guy has no idea what he's going up against yet. And I really would love to have seen a different outcome to Loki just making him disappear. Because if this guy tried to fight Loki, Loki would outpower him and kill him.
I would have liked to have seen that instance. I know we've already seen it, of like Loki multiplying just to fuck with him and make him paranoid. That's what I would have done with that. That's how I would have changed it.
Yeah, but they kind of stuck with the time and the era of Flash.
Yeah, but and plus also, he was also in the he was in a crowded place. It would have been just doing the magic trick sort of thing would have been a lot. It was obviously a lot smarter, but I would have loved to have seen him beat the shit out of that big guy. Just like maybe flick him like that, and then he goes flying across the fucking room.
Yeah,
I don't think he realizes Loki's strength. So, but yeah, that was a funny moment, and I want to see something like that at some particular point where Loki comes across a few people and he has to physically fight them, and they don't realize they're going up against a fucking Nordic god.
Yeah,
that would be. Yeah,
we also see a homage to the Nordic gods in the totem poles that they make. When they come across it.
Yeah, who the hell is Balder again?
So Balder is Thor's brother. That's Thor's brother. And he was originally meant to be in the Thor film, played by Daniel Craig, of all people. So he was actually meant to be. So Thor's in the comic books, he has his brother Balder, and again, it's tied to the mythology of it all. And I just found it hilarious that in this, that obviously they make a nod to the Norse mythology, including Thor's brother, and yet we don't see him in the MCU at all.
We see his sister, but not his brother. So,
and I love how Morbius was like,
I love that bit.
Morbius was like, I keep forgetting you're one of these motherfuckers. Like, I keep forgetting you're one of those people. Like, you're supposed to be up there with Thor. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Daniel can't help but wonder if Miss Minutes isn't a virtual copy of the original Renslayer.
That would be a mind fuck.
That would be a total mind fuck if they did it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I like the way Miss Minutes moves, by the way. She's like walking in, she's not floating. She always has like ground beneath her wherever she stands, which is very nicely done.
Yeah,
so.
she's literally walking on air.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Also, we see kind of early when Timely picks up a device, and we see is like this is the most important device. It could either be like the that orb that he uses in Ant-Man 3 that kind of helps him travel through time, or it could just be a complete like a MacGuffin,
Yeah, I
or
didn't know
just
what the hell that was.
Yeah, I don't know what
yeah.
that device was, but it'll be interesting
I
to see if
think
it comes back.
it's that the kind of beginnings of that time traveling orb that he uses in Ant-Man 3.
Somebody says that if this is like an Ouroboros paradox, whatever you want to call it, the one constant thing will always be that book. Yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah.
but so the book can't be new when he sends it back in time again, because it's constantly aging and getting older and older. So every time that book goes back, it should look more crustier and more older.
No.
And
There's
considering,
copies. There's different copies. It's not like the book was created by Ouroboros, Kihu Kwang's character. It was created
yeah,
by him.
Yep.
And there are many copies because everyone who works in the TVA
Gets a copy.
needs to read that copy and all of that. So he's
fair
not going
enough.
to keep getting the same copy. He'll just get a fresh copy being sent back.
It'd be different if it was like a big fucking book. Like if it was on like an encyclopedia kind of thing, then I could see what you're saying. It would be like, okay, it goes back through time. It's the one copy. You have to be able to have it. And then it gets all raggedy and war torn and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Why couldn't Miss Minutes deliver the book? When Miss Minutes moves through the fair, she clearly has mass and I don't know.
Continuity.
Maybe she'd already disappeared before grabbing a copy, but she was still in communication with Renslayer, and then told her to bring a copy of the book. If I had to speculate, it's not gospel. I'm just speculating. Maybe she'd already left the TVA, so who knows?
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
Now just to round things off now. Sylvie never ended up killing off Kang. Renslayer's back. What happened to her in because she comes back with a fucking huge cattle prod. But
that was Kang's first invention of that time stick. That
pruning stick. Yeah,
pruning stick. Thank you.
Miss Minutes gets put back into the template thing.
Yes, by Timely.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, by Timely, and then they all go back to the TVA, so where
they go back to the end of time where it's literally falling apart. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we do see Kang's place as well.
Yep.
And we see his body all like fucking decomposing and shit.
Yep.
Yeah, that's why we've seen that we've been here before, because of how it's been repaired and how you see it collapsing. It's like we've been through this loop already. So it'd be interesting as we come further down the next couple of episodes to see and talk more about that. But yeah, Miss Minutes leaves us with that fucking awesome cliffhanger.
Yeah, she's like, I got something to tell you, but it's gonna piss you off. And somebody about to die. Yeah, somebody gonna die.
Yeah.
That's okay. Daniel Warren says, and I have to believe that Stark would have thought of something like he remains when he just discovered time travel, turning around variables and everything to infinitum.
Infinitum.
Yeah, I guess. I always found it weird, by the way, regarding how he never tried to understand the pin particles and try to replicate them. Like he had liquid, he had loads of vials of them. He could have, with somebody of his intelligence, could have tried to. Once he's got the vial, he could have, used his technology to try and make more pin particles, because somehow he was able to make time travel equipment with a liquid that he doesn't understand, which I always found a bit weird. So anyways,
movie science, Anyway, should we wrap this up?
Yeah.
Okay. What we're gonna get? I don't know what happened to Gaz. Looks like he's going to get some Yorkshire pudding.
Private message.
Oh, fair enough.
Yep.
All right. So, Porky, what are you going to give this out of 10?
10. I'm giving this a 10. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I agree with Jose. Of all the MCU episodes we've had on the show, this is the best. Yeah, it's right up there with the Halloween episode of WandaVision.
Yeah,
which I love as well.
this is easily top 3 MCU episodes of all time of anything I've ever seen. I mean, honestly,
Really?
it was amazing. I mean, everybody played their part to perfection. There was not 1 minute wasted, and you can't say that too often about Marvel, where it feels like, oh, they wasted time on this. They didn't waste a second. It was like, here you go, here's what's happening, here's some shit's going down, and now things are about to get real in this bitch. And I'm looking forward to next week. And I'm going to be honest, I don't know if they can top this episode. I just don't. I think it was
Okay,
great.
well, I'm going to give it an 8. I found I did very much like it. I'm not saying I have major negatives towards it. Just would be a little bit confusion. Like, is he an inventor or is he a con artist or is he both? Because 1 minute he's like creating electricity out of nowhere, so he might have something there. Like, it was optical illusions or something, but at the same time it was bullshit. And then later on we find that he's got a refrigeration chair. Like like what is this guy? Is he a con man? Is he not? Like it was very confusing to understand. And obviously he got a lot of his ideas from the TVA book for sure. So
Well, give us your rating and then we'll talk about that.
8. I gave it an 8.
Oh, you gave it an 8.
Yeah.
So I'll just do quickly, Gary. Oh, I love this episode, mate. It was really good. So I'm gonna give it a good 9 out of 10. Great. Fucking have it, love it.
I'm going to give it a 9.2.756 out of 10.
Yeah,
just to
I was
piss
mad for that
everybody off.
episode. It was great.
Who the fuck is this guy in the upper corner that looks like Jindy giving an MCU show a 10?
Listen, mate, I am, first of all,
number 1, given.
2 things you got to know about me. I effing love time travel stuff, and I effing love multiversal stuff.
Yep.
Especially so when you're doing this kind of stuff. So this one is more time travel, and you do it in a way where everything you've done in the past pays off here. That's it. I mean, what else can you give this show? Like, I can nitpick on silly little things, but really my only real nitpick was just the black and white changing of the crop.
Yep.
It just didn't make sense. It didn't need to happen. Like, color was prevalent back in those days, but it wasn't about photography, because photography had, in 1863, when she changes her colors, it was barely a thing back then. It was only just like a few years been invented. And so, and even back then, I think the color tone was more sepia than it was black and white. So that's the only literal nitpick. But other than that, it's the payoff is great. And I pray that the momentum that they've got in this doesn't have to be like, oh, wow, pay like, oh, it's just that the seeds are there. And I hope that the seeds are there are consistent throughout the rest of the show.
Episode 6 has to be a 10 out of 10. That's how high my expectations are.
Is it only 6
episodes? No. You guys shouldn't have expectations, guys, because expectations will lead to disappointment. You guys should constantly be
of a show.
Yeah.
Okay.
Be skeptical.
Tend to be
as far as movies go, Kang Dynasty better be fucking dope. Yeah. Kang Dynasty, I have high expectations for, because if this is the kind of stuff we're getting going into the next Avengers movie, I'm all for it. Sign me up for more. This is going to be a great lead into Avengers. I'm looking forward to the Marvels and seeing if he shows up. Deadpool 3 is going to be my most anticipated, just to see what they do with him.
I wouldn't hedge bets on him showing up anytime soon. He's not due to show up again until Secret Wars. Or Kang Dynasty or whatever. Yeah.
Kang Dynasty is first.
Okay, so that's when he's due to sign up. And also, don't hedge your bets on anything else being anything in the pipeline being concrete, because obviously with everything that's happened is Bob Iger is going back to the drawing boards. And with Kevin Feige, they're going back to the drawing board with the TV stuff, and they might go back to the drawing board with a couple of their film stuff. So
as they should,
just keep your expectations low. Is all I could say for now.
Okay, I'm not having anything high, at least probably until Secret War, because Secret War is going to be the end of the multiversal saga. So that I do have expectations for, but we're still a few years away, so a lot can happen between now and then.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Charlie Babbitt. Definitely.
Nice.
Definitely
Nice.
have to
Cool.
like and subscribe. Definitely.
Yeah, for sure. All right, I'm
Yeah.
going to end it there. Zam stepped out. I think his internet's gone down because he was already on one bar. So, Vance, what would you give this episode? We didn't get your thoughts, sir.
Before we go. Oh, yeah, and all of you need to pick up Spider-Man 2 and Super Mario Wonder, by the way. All of you need to pick it up. Both of them.
Yeah, good games. Yeah, they look good. Like I've changed my mind on Spider-Man 2 from what I've seen.
Yep.
You give it a 9 easily. Perfect. There you go.
Okay,
So
cool. All right.
high marks all round. It was a fantastic episode. For me and Jose, it's the best MCU episode we've had to date. Oh, Zamo's coming in. I'm just about to sign us off. And
Sorry about technical difficulties.
Yeah, no worries, dude.
Oh, Gary, quickly before we go.
Go with your rating, quick.
What's your rating?
Take
Michael.
off mute.
Unmute yourself.
10.
You're muted, dude. Okay, there you go.
Okay, there you go. So we've got 8, 10s, and 9s all around. So a very high mark. Great episode. And join us again for other videos when we do a bunch of other stuff that we usually do. On that bombshell, we bid you all adieu. Bye-bye.